Our lead this hour is from the ATL, great airport, a football team that's just been mid so far. Falcons and Bucks wrangling in a midweek NFC South brouhaha to kick off week 5 of the NFL season. Were you watching? Were you going back and forth like I was between the baseball game and the football game? Maybe you were, maybe you weren't, but don't worry. We have eyes in the back of our head. We watched so you would not have to. Good drama in the Big Peach. Good drama there as Kirk Cousins. Yeah, that guy. He can't play in primetime games. Well, he couldn't play in primetime games, but that narrative is dying a fast death. Kirk Cousins went out there. Not my cousin. He might be your cousin. But Kirk Cousins threw for a career high 509 yards. That is a franchise record. And 4 touchdowns. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. The dagger in overtime. Last of them, a 45-yard pass, catch and run by Kadero Hodge in the OT. And that gave the Falcons an improbable, unimaginable 36-30 victory over the Buccaneers in the Thursday night game. So they have been victorious now after a wild fourth quarter, which included bonehead drops, a fumble over there, bad clock management over here. Kirk Cousins, Mr. Smooth Operator. He completed 5 passes in the final minute 14 with no stoppages and got all the way down to the field goal range. Then the Falcons had a self-inflicted penalty, but they still made the field goal to go to overtime. They won the coin toss, and the Bucs never got the ball. The better story is in the losing locker room, so that is where we're going to start. The question for the esteemed panel: how do you slice up the authentic Tampa Cuban sandwich of blame for Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers? So I've got beaver, gourmet chocolate, and sci-fi. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to get serious. Serious Sean is what we're going to get. Now, number one. I have many dopey slogans. I didn't start out with a lot of dopey slogans, but I've been doing talk radio for a long time, and I pick up dopey slogans over my career. As you know, the better story, losing locker room, I always go to that one. It's my default position. Another one of my beliefs is most games are lost, they're not won. This game is a glaring example of that. It's kind of like playing tic-tac-toe. If both people who play tic-tac-toe play the game properly, the game will end in a draw. But someone inevitably F's up, and that's how somebody can win tic-tac-toe. It's the same thing in football. All right, this game was in the bag for the Creamsicles. Atlanta had F'd up, and then the Creamsicles did what the Creamsicles do. They melted, right? The star of the show, and I got to think this guy is a big fan of the Bucky's mascot, the Beaver mascot there, Bucky Irving, who I think I read went to Minnesota, Golden Gopher, Bucky Irving, who's a running back for Tampa Bay, but probably not for long after he did the thing you can't do at the time you can't do it. We'll give him a big chunk of that Cuban sandwich of blame as he coughed up the football, nursing a 3-point lead. The Buccaneers had it 1st and 10 from the Atlanta 32-yard line. They were milking the clock, 2:55 to go, could have kept possession, gone way under 2 minutes, at the very worst, kicked the field goal, and then Atlanta would have gotten it back, assuming the field goal was good, with the ball at the 30-yard line, no timeouts, and instead Bucky Irvings ran around left tackle and right to the 25-yard line of Atlanta for a 7-yard gain, but he fumbled. It was recovered by the Dirty Birds. Shoulda, coulda, sealed the game. No bueno. No bueno. Now, special puffy stickers as well to the Tampa defense, who was channeling the late, great John McKay's immortal words that his team could not stop the pass or the run. Otherwise, they were in great shape. The Falcons, 550 yards of total offense. That is obscene. That should be illegal in the Bible Belt where that took place. Cousins had enough time to have a Swedish massage on many of his throws. They still got sacked 4 times, but for the bulk of the game, I think he had 250-plus yards in the first half, 250 in the second half plus, averaged 8.8 yards. But it wasn't just through the air. Atlanta averaged over 4 yards on the ground. This was a domination situation. Now, page 2. Where does this performance, on the other side, where does this performance leave Kirk Cousins and the Falcons? So it leaves them, on my notepad, I said, well, they're still at the table. They still have a seat at the table. They're still above water. They would have gone under 500 had they lost this game. So they're 3-2, which is not great. But this was a fork-in-the-road game. All right, you cross over the Rubicon into Loserville, or you cross over the Rubicon into Winterville. And for the time being, they've gone into Winterville. It's a divisional matchup. You're at home. You're playing a team you normally do pretty well against. You keep your head above the water. You don't go under the surface. It doesn't change the aura, though, around the Dirty Birds. Even with the 500-plus yards passing and all that from Cousins, Atlanta remains a pit of curiosities. It doesn't appear they're ready for mass production, right? They're tiptoeing around landmines is what they're doing. And there's an ingredient that is missing. The soup doesn't taste right. It's too watery. There's something they got to add to the soup. Now, Darnell Mooney, who did have a touchdown and made some big plays for the Atlanta offense, he's a wide receiver. He had a massive drop that should have given the game to Tampa Bay. And then their coach, Raheem Morris, Atlanta's coach, he ought to get together with Darnell Mooney because of his clock management and going for it on 4th and 15, which Atlanta did not convert the down to gain. And Raheem Morris and Darnell Mooney should get together, and they should send a bag of gourmet chocolate truffles to Bucky Irving and also to Todd Bowles. Because Todd Bowles, while Raheem Morris was futzing around, Todd Bowles said, hold my beer. He got all buttoned up, very conservative play calling, which would not have been a problem if he had a defense. But why are you playing like that when you have a defense that has been disemboweled by the other team's quarterback? Can someone explain that to me? I don't understand. I'm all for trying to milk the clock. I'm not against milking the clock. But when your defense cannot stop the other team, it just seemed like it was one of those situations. Once the Mooney, and listen, full disclosure, I picked the Buccaneers in the game, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you I didn't. But the way the game ended, it was essentially given to the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers are like, we don't need it. You know, you guys take it. We're good. All right. Now, for Kirk Cousins, he has shown that remember how slow he looked at the start of the year, the first game and a half? It was just kind of not quite there. So he's shown that he is a facsimile of what he had been in Minnesota. He's a very similar product to that. And so that means Atlanta will be somewhere in that 8, 9, 10 win range, and they'll be a playoff contender because Cousins is that type of quarterback. All right, final point. To the press box we go, where yet again it's a weekly occurrence. Amazon play-by-play announcer Al Michaels. Turns out he has noticed all the trolls online, the many people who claim to be fans who have gone after him on a weekly basis. It happened yet again. Al doing a game. You're not energetic enough. What's wrong with you, you old geezer? You're a boomer. Yeah, all the losers. All the losers. May they never grow old. So Al was asked about this, and he says, listen, I know the people want me to shout, but I don't scream, he said. I don't scream the game at you. It's not my style. I don't holler the game at you. And then he referenced Jim Nantz, who doesn't do that, Joe Buck, who doesn't do that as well. But does Al Michaels' energy level detract from your viewing experience of the NFL product? So my response, I give this stink eye. And I could watch Al Michaels do play-by-play on a marble race, and I would enjoy it. Like, to me, and I know it's because of my age, and I grew up watching Al Michaels, and I saw every big event Al Michaels seemed like he was behind. It was either him or Brent Musburger who was behind the microphone. But Al's a time traveler. He is. He's a time traveler. It's like Scott Bakula from that beloved sci-fi classic, Quantum Leap. Al Michaels has been doing play-by-play for parts of the last 7 decades. All right. He has been leaping through time, generation after generation. He's inhabited various roles. He's been part of all of these legends' lives in sports. He's witnessed and called history. Going back, I heard Al tell a story the other day about play-by-play. He was hired in his early 20s by the Cincinnati Reds. He was buddies with Pete Rose. They used to go to the track and bet on the ponies. And was friends with Pete. And he told some stories about that as a kid. But from Pete Rose, the Big Red Machine, he did play-by-play for the San Francisco Giants, the great Olympic hockey moment, other just stunning great moments in the Olympics, Super Bowl broadcast, big baseball broadcast. And Al turns 80 next month, right? In November, he turns 80. And does he have his fastball? No. However, he is still able to beguile the viewer with the finesse, right? The stories, all of that. And it's like that knuckleball that looks so easy. You think you can hit it. It's kind of like my Ephus pitch. You know, it kind of flutters in there, and you think you can hit it, and then you're just a loser, and you have no chance. Right? You just swing through it. And that's Al. That's Al in a nutshell, is what it is.